After 2 weeks of intensive training that included watching the movie Attica, reading the book Games Criminals Play, and viewing a horrific collection of prisoner-made weapons, I was sent out to work with those deemed too dangerous to live among us. It was the beginning of a long and amazing journey. I soon realized that I didn't fit in with many of my peers. I was raised to say please and thank you, but my coworkers told me that I was showing weakness, that I had to give direct orders if I wanted to get respect and compliance. I continued to say please and thank you, and with few exceptions, I got the compliance I needed. As a part of the uniformed ranks, the custody staff, I was told to see myself as the most important contributor to the operation of the facility. We were the ones that responded when there was an emergency. We were the ones that kept the bad guys in and the bad stuff out. We were the ones that kept everyone safe. But I began to see that my job as a correctional officer was much easier and safer when all the other parts of the prison were running well. The attitudes of the men seemed directly connected to the quality of their lives. A good meal, a visit with family, attending a program, positive comment from a work supervisor, being called Mr. Jones rather than Inmate Jones, saying please and thank you. All of those things contributed to a safer, healthier prison. Prisons epitomize the concept of the social contract. For the good of the many, we mandate the isolation of a few. When used and operated correctly, prisons provide two valuable contributions to our society. They house people that are too dangerous to remain in the community, and they provide people opportunities to change. So let's look at determining risk to the community. Many courts use evidence-based tools to help guide their decisions, looking at risk to reoffend and needs to be addressed when making decisions to send people to prison and to set the length of their sentence. This creates the perception of objectivity, but the best tools have a predictability rate of about 70%, and they predict the risk to reoffend, not the risk of allowing someone to remain in the community. Determining the risk to the community is easier when the person has committed a serious violent act or engaged in organized criminal activity that clearly puts the community at risk. It becomes more subjective when the behavior is an individual's abuse of substances or petty theft. These are undesirable behaviors. They do create risk. They are behaviors that can cause harm to other people. But most often, incarceration for these crimes comes only after multiple arrests for these same lower risk behaviors. We must always ask the question, are we using incarceration to reduce the risk to the community, or are we using incarceration out of frustration and for retribution? Retribution may make us feel better, but in the long run, it does not contribute to safer communities. It's said people are sent to prison as punishment, not to be punished. Let's look at that concept. The intent is that the act of being sentenced to prison is just deserts for the crime committed, and that further punishment for the crime should not occur during incarceration. It's the criminal justice version of an eye for an eye. The second half of the statement implies that incarceration should not be a punishing experience beyond that of being removed from the community. There are great examples of healthy incarceration settings in America and across the globe. Unfortunately, there are still many examples where incarceration struggles to rise above punishment. No matter how well a prison is run, we are still learning about the debilitating effects of incarceration, both on the individual and on our society. So how can we use incarceration to make our communities safer? We must find ways to inspire hope among the women and men who fill our prisons, and then we must provide opportunities for change. This begins with the quality of life within a prison, and that starts with the surroundings. For many years I've joked, a clean prison is a happy prison. While it's possible to have a sparkling clean prison that is otherwise poorly run, you can't achieve good security, safety, and health without good sanitation. Following closely is the condition of the physical plant. The electrical, plumbing, heating and cooling systems, and the security features must all work as we designed them. We have to provide access to clean clothing, nutritious and properly prepared meals, and quality health care. And we must do our best to keep everyone inside the prison safe. What I wasn't taught in 1982 was how all of these things allow for hope and how damaging it can be when people do not have hope. I understood Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but I didn't understand the complexity of providing for physiological and safety needs inside a prison. What I know today is that only when these first two needs are met can we then begin to inspire hope. In 1993, I became a facilitator for moral recognition therapy, MRT. It's no big deal, except that I was a correctional captain, the chief of security. A new warden took over the facility and he came to sit in on a class. The next day, he told me that he didn't think I should be delivering programming to inmates, that my staff wouldn't respect my position. I told him about the differences I was seeing in the behavior of the men I was working with, and more importantly, the improvements in the relationships between the staff and the different areas of the facility. The conversations were different, silos were breaking down, we were challenging each other's assumptions about what really makes a prison work well. I continued to facilitate MRT, and for the last 25 years, I've continued to challenge assumptions. There are bad people in prison, but most are people who made bad decisions. When we define people by what they did rather than what they are capable of achieving, we limit their success and we rob our society of valuable resources. Given the right tools, the right education, the right treatment, and the right opportunities, people can find success. Here in Nebraska, 93% of the people in prison will return to the community. 2/3 of the people in prison will return in less than 3 years. This means we have very little time to work with many of the people who come through our prison system. If we are serious about making a difference, if we are serious about improving community safety, if we are serious about keeping people from coming back to prison, we can't afford to waste a minute of any prison sentence. I've met many people who use their time in prison to change their lives for the better, and many others that wish they had not wasted so much of their sentence being angry at the world, being angry at themselves. Today I have the pleasure of knowing and interacting with men and women who have served prison sentences and gone on to lead highly productive lives. They model the way for others, proving it is possible to use prison to achieve success. A wise man once told me, reentry begins at intake and ends when a person becomes a contributing member of the community. So what if everyone's prison experience began by being greeted as he or she walked in the door with the words, "Welcome to our facility. We're sorry that your decisions led to incarceration, but today is the day that you can begin to redefine your life. We'll provide for all your basic needs, including your physical and mental health care. We'll use evidence-based practices to identify and address your educational programming and treatment needs. We'll give you opportunities to work, recreate, and practice the religion of your choice. And we will welcome community volunteers to come inside and help you find your true value in this world. We can't make you successful, but we can provide you with opportunities to be successful. But here's what we need from you. Be open to change, willing to engage, believe in yourself, ask for help, refuse to let others drag you down, and don't be afraid to fail. As I stand here today, I know there is hope. TEDx is providing the world a window into our prisons and giving a voice to those we incarcerate. Andrew at Marion, Tiffany at Purdy, Curtis at San Quentin, Tamika at Muncie, Nick the Worm Dude at Monroe, and all of you speaking here today at York. Real people with real ideas. Prisons are one of the most extreme examples of the social contract. We all have a duty to ensure everyone benefits from that contract. and it all starts with hope.